The vast darkness of space lit up with flashes of light. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers across the star-filled sky. The Galactic Alliance's last stand against the Zarkov invasion was failing. Admiral Xylo of the Centauri fleet watched from the bridge of his flagship. His tentacles trembled as another Allied cruiser burst into flames. The enemy's black ships swarmed like angry insects, their weapons tearing through the Alliance's defenses. Status report. Xylo barked, his three eyes blinking rapidly. A young officer rushed over, her scales pale with fear. "Sir, we've lost contact with the Rigelian contingent. The Arcturians are reporting heavy casualties. Our shields are down to 30%. Xylo's heart sank. This was supposed to be their moment of triumph. The Alliance had gathered its mightiest fleets, its most advanced technology for this battle. Yet the Zarkov were crushing them like insects. On the main view screen, a Zarkov dreadnought emerged from hyperspace. It dwarfed the Alliance ships, its hull bristling with weapons. Xylo felt a chill run down his spine. That ship alone could turn the tide of the battle. "Sir," the communications officer called out, her voice shaking. "We're receiving a priority transmission from High Command." Xylo nodded, and the face of Grand Counselor Jen appeared on the screen. The ancient Andromedan's usually serene features were twisted with worry. "Admiral Xylo," Jen said, "the situation is dire. Our analysts predict total defeat within the next solar cycle unless something changes." "What would you have us do, Counselor?" Xylo asked, trying to keep the despair from his voice. "We've thrown everything we have at the Zarkov." Zhen's eyes glazed over, lost in thought. Perhaps not everything," he murmured. Xylo leaned forward. "Counselor, there is one option we haven't considered," Zhen said slowly. "It's risky, perhaps even foolish, but we're out of alternatives." The bridge fell silent, all eyes on the view screen. "We could ask the humans for help," Zhen finally said. Gasps and murmurs filled the room. Xylo's tentacles curled in shock. The humans, but they're primitives, barely out of their stone age. Zhen nodded gravely. "Yes, by our standards. But they possess qualities that might be useful in our current predicament." Xylo couldn't believe what he was hearing. Humans were a curiosity, nothing more. Their planet, Earth, was a backwater world at the edge of the galaxy. The Alliance had been observing them for centuries, watching as they stumbled their way into the early stages of space exploration. "With all due respect, Counselor," Xylo said, "what could these humans possibly offer that our most advanced civilizations cannot?" A ghost of a smile played on Jen's lips. "Unpredictability, Admiral. Creativity. A certain, savage ingenuity that we've long since evolved past." As if to punctuate Jen's words, another explosion rocked Xylo's ship. Warning klaxons blared. "Sir," the young officer cried out, "the Zarkov have broken through our left flank. They're heading straight for our core worlds." Xylo looked at the tactical display, then back at Jen. The counselor's eyes were pleading. "Very well," Xylo said, making the hardest decision of his long career. "Send the call. Bring in the humans." As Jen's image faded, Xylo turned to stare out at the raging battle. He hoped, for the sake of the galaxy, that these humans were everything the old story said they were. Because if not, this might be the last stand of the Galactic Alliance. And somewhere, on a blue planet circling an unremarkable yellow star, humanity was about to receive the most important phone call in its history. The United Nations Security Council chamber in New York City buzzed with tension. World leaders, usually divided by politics and geography, sat shoulder to shoulder, united by an unprecedented crisis. Secretary General Maria Rodriguez stood at the podium, her face pale but determined. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice steady despite the weight of her words, "what I'm about to tell you will change the course of human history." She took a deep breath and continued. 2 hours ago, we received a message, not from any nation on Earth, but from the stars. Gasps and murmurs filled the room. Maria raised a hand for silence. An alliance of alien civilizations, calling themselves the Galactic Alliance, has reached out to us. They are at war with a hostile force known as the Zarkov, and they are losing. The chamber erupted in chaos. Security guards rushed to maintain order as leaders shouted questions and demands. Please, everyone. Maria's voice cut through the noise. There's more. The Alliance is asking for our help. Silence fell, heavy with disbelief. In the third row, U.S. President James Harper leaned towards his chief of staff. They want our help. What the hell can we do against aliens? Russian President Anastasia Volkova overheard. She turned, her eyes narrowing. Perhaps they've seen our Hollywood movies, duh. They think we can save galaxy like Tony Stark. Before Harper could retort, a hologram flickered to life above the central table. A being that looked like a cross between an octopus and a tree appeared, its 3 eyes blinking at the assembled humans. Greetings, people of Earth, it said, its words translated by an unseen mechanism. I am Grand Counselor Zhen of the Galactic Alliance. We come to you in our darkest hour. For the next 30 minutes, Zhen explained the situation. The Zarkov, a warlike species bent on galactic domination, had pushed the Alliance to the brink of defeat. Despite their advanced technology, the Alliance was losing. But why us? President Harper finally asked. We're not even a spacefaring civilization by your standards. Zhen's tentacles rippled in what might have been a smile. You humans possess qualities we have long since evolved past. Creativity, adaptability, a warrior spirit that has not been dulled by millennia of peace. President Volkova leaned forward. You want soldiers. We want partners, Zhen corrected. We offer you technology beyond your wildest dreams. In return, we ask for your ingenuity, your courage, your, what do you call it? Thinking outside the box. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity, in one fell swoop, could leap centuries ahead technologically, but at what cost? Secretary General Rodriguez stepped forward. Grand Counselor, this is overwhelming. We need time to discuss, to decide. Zhen's image flickered. I understand, but time is a luxury we don't have. The Zarkov advance as we speak. We can give you 1 Earth rotation to decide. After that, it may be too late for all of us. As the hologram faded, the room exploded into frantic discussions. Leaders huddled in groups, advisors whispered urgently, and the weight of the galaxy seemed to press down on every shoulder. In a quiet corner, Maria Rodriguez found herself standing with Harper and Volkova. Well, Harper said, running a hand through his graying hair, I guess the question is, are we ready to take our place among the stars? Volkova's lips curled into a wry smile. Ready or not, it seems the universe has plans for us. Maria looked from one to the other, then out the window at the bustling New York street below. In 24 hours, everything would change for those unsuspecting people. For everyone. Then we'd better start preparing, she said softly. Humanity's greatest challenge and greatest adventure awaits. As night fell over Earth, its inhabitants slept unaware that their planet stood on the brink of a new era. In less than a day, they would be called upon to save not just their world, but the entire galaxy. The clock was ticking. The world changed overnight. As dawn broke over each time zone, people woke to the news that would reshape human history. We are not alone, and we are needed. Reactions varied wildly. Some panicked, rushing to stores to stock up on supplies. Others celebrated in the streets, seeing this as humanity's greatest adventure. Religious leaders scrambled to reinterpret ancient texts, while scientists excitedly pored over the limited data shared by the Galactic Alliance. But in a secret facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, none of that mattered. Here, Earth's first line of defense was taking shape. Colonel Sarah Chen stood before a group of elite soldiers from around the world. These men and women were the best of the best. Navy SEALs, SAS, Spetsnaz, and more. They looked at her with a mix of excitement and disbelief. "I know this sounds crazy," Sarah said, her voice echoing in the cavernous room. "Yesterday, you were Earth's finest warriors. Today, you're about to become humanity's first galactic defenders." She gestured to a row of strange-looking suits behind her. They shimmered with an otherworldly glow, nothing like any armor the soldiers had seen before. "These are xenotech combat suits, courtesy of our new alien friends," Sarah explained. "They'll enhance your strength, speed, and reflexes beyond human limits. They also have built-in universal translators and neural interfaces for weapons we haven't even imagined yet." A burly Russian soldier raised his hand. "Colonel, with respect, how can we fight a war in space? We have no experience, no training for this." Sarah nodded. "You're right, Sergeant Volkov. That's why we're not going to fight like they expect us to." She tapped a button, and a holographic display sprang to life, showing various alien ship designs. "The Alliance has been fighting a conventional war and losing. We're going to change the game. Guerrilla tactics, unconventional strategies, the kind of thinking that kept humanity alive against predators 10 times our size back when we lived in caves." As Sarah spoke, excitement began to replace doubt in the soldiers' eyes. This was what they were trained for: adapting, overcoming, thinking on their feet. Meanwhile, in a hastily assembled lab in Tokyo, Dr. Yuki Tanaka stared in awe at the device floating before her. It was a Galactic Alliance AI core, the most advanced computer in the known universe. "Dr. Tanaka," a voice said, startling her. She turned to see James Harper, the U.S. President, entering the lab with a group of world leaders. "Mr. President," Yuki stammered, bowing slightly, "we've only begun to scratch the surface of this technology. It's centuries, maybe millennia ahead of us." Harper nodded grimly. "I understand, Doctor, but we don't have centuries. We need breakthroughs, and we need them fast." Yuki took a deep breath, steeling herself. "Sir, what we need is to stop thinking like humans trying to understand alien tech. We need to approach this from a completely new angle." She turned back to the AI core, her mind racing. "The Alliance thinks linearly, bound by eons of scientific doctrine. But we can think crazy. We can make intuitive leaps they'd never consider." As if on cue, the AI core pulsed, responding to Yuki's burst of inspiration. The world leaders watched in amazement as streams of alien code flowed around the young scientist. "Yes," Yuki whispered, her eyes wide with excitement. "Yes, I think I see it now." Back in New York, Secretary General Maria Rodriguez stood before the United Nations General Assembly. Every seat was filled, with billions more watching the live broadcast around the world. "People of Earth," Maria began, her voice steady and strong. "Today, we take our first steps into a larger universe. It will not be easy. We face challenges beyond our wildest imaginations, but we face them together, not just as nations, but as a planet, as humanity." She paused, looking out at the sea of faces. "The stars have called, and we will answer. Today we become the defenders not just of our world, but of galaxies beyond our dreams. Today we show the universe what humanity can do." As cheers erupted in the assembly and around the world, humanity prepared for its greatest journey. In labs, in training facilities, in homes and schools and offices, a new era was beginning. The battle for the galaxy was about to change. Humanity had entered the game. The vast emptiness of space suddenly burst into life. A shimmering portal tore open the fabric of reality, and from it emerged Earth's first interstellar fleet. The ships were a strange mix of sleek alien design and unmistakably human modifications. Welded armor plates, makeshift weapons, and hastily painted names and symbols covered their hulls. On the bridge of the flagship, Humanity's Hope, Colonel Sarah Chen stood in awe. The view screen showed a battlefield unlike anything in human history. Massive alien ships traded fire with weapons that defied description. Energy beams lanced across space, while swarms of smaller craft darted between the behemoths. "Status report," Sarah ordered, snapping out of her amazement. Her XO, a former British Royal Navy officer named James Thompson, responded quickly. "All ships accounted for, Colonel. Shields at full power, weapons hot. The our allies are hailing us." Sarah nodded. On screen, Admiral Xilo's alien face appeared, his 3 eyes widening at the sight of the humans. "By the cosmic cores," he breathed, "you actually came." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Humanity always pays its debts. Admiral, now where do you need us?" Xilo's tentacles waved in agitation. "The Zarkov have broken through our lines in Sector 7. They're pushing towards our supply bases. If they take those, the war is lost." "Understood," Sarah said. She turned to her crew, a mix of soldiers and hastily trained civilians. "You heard the Admiral. Let's show these Zarkov what humans can do." As the human fleet moved into position, Dr. Yuki Tanaka worked furiously in her lab aboard the Humanity's Hope. Surrounded by a mix of Earth computers and alien tech, she raced against time to complete her secret weapon. Come on," she muttered, her fingers flying over holographic interfaces. The AI core pulsed rhythmically, almost in sync with her racing heart. Suddenly, the ship rocked violently. Yuki stumbled, catching herself on the edge of her workstation. "Dr. Tanaka." Sarah's voice came over the intercom. "We need that weapon now. The Zarkov are tearing us apart." Yuki gritted her teeth. Just 1 more minute. Outside, the battle raged. Human ships darted and weaved between the larger alien vessels, using maneuvers that seemed suicidal to their allies. They attacked from impossible angles, used debris as cover, and employed strategies that made no sense to the logical minds of both the Alliance and the Zarkov. On a Zarkov command ship, General Krazak watched in confusion. "What are these creatures doing?" he growled. "Their tactics are chaotic, unpredictable." His second-in-command hissed in agreement. "They fight like madmen, with no regard for their own safety. But they're drawing our forces out of position." Krazak's eyes narrowed. For the first time in the long war, he felt a flicker of uncertainty. Back on Humanity's Hope, Sarah watched as a Zarkov cruiser bore down on them, its weapons charging. "Evasive maneuvers," she shouted. But before her helmsman could respond, Yuki's voice rang out triumphantly over the intercom. "It's ready. Activating now." A pulse of energy surged from the human flagship, washing over friend and foe alike. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then chaos erupted. Zarkov ships began to move erratically. Some fired on their allies, others shut down completely. "What's happening?" Sarah demanded. Yuki's face appeared on a nearby screen, beaming with pride. "I call it the Chaos Engine. It taps into the quantum uncertainty of the universe, amplifying it to a macro scale. But I keyed it to human brainwaves. We're the only ones who can function in this randomized space." Sarah stared at the scientist in amazement, then turned back to the battle. She allowed herself a fierce grin. "All ships, this is Colonel Chen. The Zarkov are in disarray. Press the attack. Show them why you don't mess with humanity." As the human fleet surged forward, the tide of battle began to turn. For the first time since the war began, hope blossomed in the hearts of the Galactic Alliance. The humans had arrived, and they were rewriting the rules of warfare on a cosmic scale. The news of humanity's first victory spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On countless worlds, aliens gathered around communication devices, their eyes wide with hope for the first time in years. The humans, those strange creatures from a backwater planet, had done the impossible. They had pushed back the Zarkov. But the war was far from over. On the bridge of Humanity's Hope, Colonel Sarah Chen studied a holographic map of the galaxy. Red dots representing Zarkov forces still outnumbered the blue Alliance markers. "They're regrouping," she muttered. adapting to our tactics. Admiral Tsilo floated beside her, his tentacles twitching nervously. The Zarkoth are not known for their flexibility, but they learn quickly. We must strike again before they can counter your— What did you call it? Chaos engine. Sarah nodded grimly. Dr. Tanaka is already working on upgrades, but we can't rely on the same trick twice. We need something new. As if on cue, the ship's AI announced an incoming transmission from Earth. The holographic face of President James Harper appeared, looking tired but determined. Colonel Chen, we've received your report. Outstanding work out there. But our analysts have spotted a problem. The galactic map zoomed in on a particular sector. A massive structure floated in space, surrounded by Zarkoth ships. What am I looking at, Mr. President? Sarah asked. We believe it's a Zarkoth cloning facility, Harper explained. They're manufacturing soldiers faster than we can defeat them. Take out that station, and we might have a real shot at winning this war. Sarah studied the image, her mind racing. It's deep in enemy territory. A frontal assault would be suicide. Harper's hologram nodded. That's why we're not sending the fleet. We're sending you. The plan was insane. A small team of humans would infiltrate the cloning facility using a captured Zarkoth shuttle. Their mission: plant explosives and destroy the station from within. As Sarah briefed her team, she couldn't help but marvel at the strange mix of soldiers. There was Raj, an Indian hacker who could interface with alien tech like he was born to it. Maria, a Brazilian demolitions expert with a penchant for over-the-top explosions. And Yuki, the brilliant scientist who insisted on coming along to gather data on Zarkoth biotech. Any questions? Sarah asked as she finished the briefing. Sergeant Volkov, the burly Russian, raised his hand. Duh. When do we leave? Sarah checked her watch. 20 minutes. Suit up. As the team prepared, Dr. Tanaka made last-minute adjustments to their gear. She handed Sarah a small device. A miniature chaos engine, Yuki explained. It should scramble any Zarkoth security systems. But be careful, it's got a limited charge. Sarah nodded, tucking the device into her suit. Let's hope we won't need it. The captured Zarkoth shuttle was cramped and smelled strange, like a mix of ozone and rotting vegetation. As they approached the massive cloning facility, Sarah felt a knot form in her stomach. So much was riding on this mission. Approaching docking bay, Raj announced from the pilot's seat, transmitting stolen codes. Now. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then, the bay doors slowly opened. We're in, Sarah breathed. Remember, we're here to plant the bombs and get out. No heroics, no detours. But as they stepped into the facility, alarms blared. Zarkoth soldiers poured into the corridor, their insectoid faces twisted in rage. Well, Maria said, hefting her alien weapon with a grin. So much for the stealth approach. Sarah gritted her teeth. The mission had barely begun, and everything was already going wrong. But as she looked at her team, human faces set with determination, ready to face impossible odds, she felt a surge of pride. This was what humanity did best: adapt, improvise, overcome. New plan, she shouted over the sound of weapon fire. We fight our way to the core. Raj, find us a path. Maria, make some noise. Yuki, be ready with that chaos engine. Let's show these bugs why you don't mess with Earth. As the humans charged forward, the Zarkoth were about to learn a painful lesson. Sometimes, the most dangerous enemy is the one you underestimate. The battle for the cloning facility had begun. Chaos reigned in the Zarkoth cloning facility. Alarms blared, emergency lights flashed, and the air filled with the sounds of weapon fire and alien shrieks. Through this mayhem, 5 humans fought their way deeper into the heart of the enemy stronghold. Colonel Sarah Chen led the charge, her alien weapon spitting energy bolts at oncoming Zarkoth soldiers. Behind her, Sergeant Volkov provided cover fire, his massive frame a shield for the others. Raj, Sarah shouted over the din. Where's that path to the core? The Indian hacker's fingers danced over a holographic interface projected from his wrist. Working on it, Colonel. Their systems are. Wow, they're adapting to my hacks in real time. A group of Zarkoth rounded the corner, their insectoid eyes glowing with hatred. Before Sarah could react, a series of explosions rocked the corridor, sending the aliens flying. Maria, the Brazilian demolitions expert, grinned as she lowered her launcher. You wanted noise, yes? I give you symphony. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, bringing up the rear, clutched her datapad tightly. The core should be 2 levels down, but the lifts are locked down. Sarah gritted her teeth. They were running out of time and options. Then she spotted an access hatch in the ceiling. Maintenance tunnels, she said, pointing up. Volkov, give me a boost. The Russian nodded, cupping his hands. Sarah stepped into them, and with a grunt, Volkov launched her towards the ceiling. She caught the edge of the hatch, swinging it open. Everyone up, she ordered. Raj, can you seal it behind us? The hacker nodded as Volkov lifted him. Already on it, Colonel. As the team crawled through the cramped tunnels, guided by Yuki's scans, Sarah couldn't help but marvel at how far it had come. Just weeks ago, they were ordinary humans on Earth. Now they were crawling through an alien spaceship, trying to turn the tide of an intergalactic war. Suddenly, Yuki gasped. Colonel, I'm picking up massive energy readings below us. I think we're right above the cloning chambers. Sarah peered through a grate in the tunnel floor. What she saw took her breath away. Stretching as far as the eye could see were rows upon rows of translucent pods. Inside each, a Zarkoth soldier grew, fed by pulsing tubes of glowing fluid. At the center of it all stood a massive pillar of swirling energy, the core. My God, Volkov whispered. There must be millions of them. Sarah steeled herself. And we're going to stop them all. Maria, set the charges around this level. We'll blow the whole system sky high. As Maria began planting explosives, a commotion below caught Sarah's attention. A group of Zarkoth scientists had entered the chamber, led by a larger, more ornate alien. Its carapace gleamed with metallic implants, and its eyes glowed with an intelligence that sent chills down Sarah's spine. Colonel. Raj's voice was tense. That big one. I think it's their leader, General Krazak himself. Sarah's mind raced. Taking out the Zarkoth Supreme Commander could cripple their entire war effort, but it would mean exposing themselves. Change of plans, she said, her voice tight with determination. We're not just destroying this facility. We're taking out their leader. Yuki's eyes widened. But Colonel, the mission. The mission is to end this war. Sarah cut her off. And this might be our best shot. She turned to her team, seeing a mix of fear and resolve on their faces. I won't order you to do this. It's likely a one-way trip. But if we succeed, we could save countless lives across the galaxy. For a moment, silence hung in the air. Then Volkov chuckled. Well, if we're going to die, might as well make it count, da. Maria grinned, patting her remaining explosives. I always wanted to go out with a bang. Raj and Yuki nodded, their faces set with determination. Sarah felt a swell of pride. This was humanity at its best, facing impossible odds with courage and unity. All right then, she said, readying her weapon. Let's introduce General Krazak to the human race. With a nod to Maria, Sarah kicked open the grate. As alarms blared and chaos erupted once more, 5 humans dropped into the heart of the enemy stronghold, ready to change the course of the war, or die trying. Chaos erupted in the Zarkoth cloning chamber as 5 humans dropped from the ceiling. Alarms blared, and confused alien scientists scattered in panic. But one figure stood its ground, General Krazak, Supreme Commander of the Zarkoth forces. Intruders. Krazak's voice boomed, a harsh clicking sound that the humans' translators struggled to keep up with. Destroy them. Colonel Sarah Chen rolled to her feet, firing her weapon at the approaching Zarkoth guards. Spread out, she yelled to her team. Raj, hack their systems. Maria, plant those charges. Yuki, gather what data you can. As her team moved into action, Sarah faced off against Krozak. The alien general towered over her, his armored carapace gleaming under the harsh lights. So, Krozak clicked, mandibles twitching in what might have been amusement. These are the humans who have caused us so much trouble. I expected more. Sarah gritted her teeth. Sorry to disappoint. We left our party hats at home. She fired, but Krozak moved with shocking speed. His clawed hand swatted the energy bolt aside like it was nothing. Across the chamber, Sergeant Volkov grappled with two Zarkov soldiers, his enhanced strength matching their alien physiology. "Colonel," he shouted, "we cannot hold them for long." Sarah knew he was right. They were outnumbered and outgunned. But they had come too far to fail now. "Yuki," she called. "The Chaos Engine." Dr. Tanaka fumbled with the device, her hands shaking. "But Colonel, at this range, it could affect us too." "Do it." As Yuki activated the Chaos Engine, reality seemed to warp. Colors shifted, gravity fluctuated, and for a moment, everything seemed to move in slow motion. Sarah saw her chance. She lunged at Krozak, catching the alien off guard. They tumbled to the ground, human and alien locked in a desperate struggle. "You fight well, human," Krozak hissed, "but you cannot stop the inevitable. We are the future of the galaxy." Sarah headbutted the alien, her helmet cracking against his carapace. "The future," she growled. "Let me tell you about humanity's past. We faced extinction more times than we can count. Ice ages, plagues, our own stupid wars. But we always survive. We always adapt." She wrestled Krozak's weapon from his grasp. "That's what you don't get. Humanity isn't great because we're strong. We're great because we never, ever give up." With a final surge of strength, Sarah pinned Krozak down. She looked up to see her team had turned the tide. Raj had hacked the facility's defenses, turning them against the Zarkov. Maria's explosives were set, ready to blow the whole place sky high. Yuki had downloaded critical data that could turn the war in their favor. "It's over, General," Sarah said. "Surrender, and we can end this war." For a moment, Krozak was silent. Then, to Sarah's shock, he began to laugh. Perhaps we underestimated your species, human. You have fought with a ferocity we did not anticipate." Slowly, the alien general raised his hands in surrender. "I yield. The Zarkov. We yield." As Sarah helped Krozak to his feet, she activated her comlink. "This is Colonel Chen to all Alliance forces. We've done it. The Zarkov have surrendered. I repeat, the war is over." Cheers erupted over the comm, and Sarah saw her team's faces light up with joy and disbelief. They had done the impossible. As Alliance ships entered the system to secure the facility, Sarah looked out at the vast expanse of space visible through the chamber's windows. Countless stars twinkled, each one possibly home to worlds and species yet undiscovered. "So," Volkov said, coming to stand beside her. "What now, Colonel?" Sarah smiled, feeling the weight of their achievements settle on her shoulders. Now we go home. We tell Earth that the galaxy is bigger, stranger, and more wonderful than we ever imagined. And we get ready for the next adventure." As the humans prepared to leave the Zarkov facility, Sarah couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Humanity had been called upon in the galaxy's darkest hour, and they had risen to the challenge. They had proved that sometimes the most unlikely heroes can make the biggest difference. The battle had seemed lost, so they called in humans. And humans had won the day.